Welcome to The Cynical Developer, the podcast that helps you to improve your development knowledge and career through explaining the latest and greatest in development technology and providing you with what you need to succeed as a developer. We've recently launched our Patreon page, which can be found at cynicaldeveloper.com/Patreon. If you aren't familiar with Patreon, it's an easy way for those who are interested in this show to help out by simply pledging a small amount each month in sponsorship. Now that could be as little as $5 a month, which is about £3.80, or as much as you like. You will enable us to dedicate more time creating more content to help you, including videos, more blog posts, and even more shows. So if you can, head over to cynicaldeveloper.com/Patreon and get involved. In this episode, I wanted to talk about getting involved and getting yourself out there. In my humble opinion, too many developers don't get involved with tech outside of work. And if you want to be a 9-to-5er, that's fine. Then do that. But if you want to be top of your game, then you need to put yourself out there, really. And what I mean by your game is not the top of the game or your friend's game or your colleague's game, but your game. Be the best that you can be. I don't condone comparing yourself to other people. It's a real minefield if you start doing that. And trust me, I've spent years doing it, and it leads to nothing but resentment and unhappiness based on and around your feelings that you're not as good as everyone else. Who everyone else is, I don't really know. So it's all about being the best that you can be. In these monologues, I do bang on quite a lot about getting your code out there. And I really think you should do that. But I'm not talking about just your code. I'm talking about getting your face out there, making connections, making yourself known. This is something I'm working on at the moment myself, and I expect to always be working on that part of it, no matter if I host a podcast, if I don't, if I'm doing something else, whatever I'm doing, I expect to be needing to put myself out there, and I want to get to more events, more meetups and things like that. So what exactly do I mean by getting yourself out there? When I say getting yourself out there, I'm talking about going to events in person, not just doing online webinars. These events can be expensive, but if your employer won't pay for them, don't worry. There are free events too. These are often run by local meetup groups, but also some of the bigger organisations like Microsoft, they do free events as well. So to find them, check out meetup.com or Eventbrite. Well, both really. Also check out some of the bigger players' websites. Google, Bing it. The events do come up. If you know of any other good ways to find out about these events, then do comment on the show's page, and we can spread the love, spread that knowledge. Now, why should you go to these events? Often you may not learn anything new. It does happen, but you could. That does also happen. There are many times when you will attend these events and the topic bores you silly. But my advice is still go. Show your support for these events. Show your support for your local dev meetup, if that's what it is. And if you attend regularly, then your face will get known. You will get to know other devs in your area, and they all work for some company out there in some place. And it can often lead to work as well in the future if you need it. So keep that in mind. And having these connections could also help you skip parts of the interview process that you might otherwise have to go through. Benefits all around. Now, I know you can't all afford the time or the cost for these events, especially on a regular basis. But there are online meetups, like I said, about online webinars. I have a young family, and I do find it hard to get out to events, and I'm trying to focus on getting to more, as I've already said. If you know of any that I should attend, then do let me know. If I can attend, I will. I'm working on some new material for some talks to give to local meetups, so who knows? Maybe I'll see you at an event. These online groups and communities are great, and I mentioned before that I'm in a few of these dev Slack groups, and they're full of amazing developers. We chat, we discuss, and we banter. It's great to be in there, and you do learn a lot from that, and there are relationships to be made in those groups. But a few words of warning though: don't go into these places solely to try and get work. That just isn't going to happen. You're going to annoy people. And also be mindful of how long you're spending in there on a daily basis, it's a very slippery slope to wasting all of your day when you get involved in all these communities on Slack. Now, what I like about these Slack groups, and similarly with local tech groups, is that there are people there of all levels, all positions in their career, all different techs and with different opinions. And having that diversity is awesome because you get to learn so much from so many different people. Sometimes these opinions are biased, but they do get called out, and people will have to justify why they think the way that they do. And you reading through those reasons and those opinions expands your knowledge as well. And you can also voice your opinions in that and get a wider view on those. So that's helpful. If there isn't a meetup near you, then why not start one? It doesn't take a lot of work to get one started. It does take work to maintain it and keep it up and keep it going. But it could all start with some posts on some ads, like on LinkedIn, or maybe Slack channels. And your first event might only have a few people attend, but it's got to start somewhere. So getting out there and getting involved will help you in your career, as it's a small world. It really is. And in this industry, everyone knows everyone. And there is a rule of 6 degrees of separation that you may be aware of, that anybody is only 6 people away from anyone else in the world. And I'm sure that rule is even smaller in the tech industry. I really do. So get yourself out there, maybe even give a talk yourself or start up your own meetup group. Do yourself a favour and the industry and go make your awesome self known. Let me know how it goes. Did you start a meetup? Did you give a talk? I'd love to know if you do. And until next time, thanks for listening to The Cynical Developer. I'm James Stoddart, and you've been listening to Getting Yourself Out There. If you have any questions about this or any other episode, then drop us an email, a tweet, or leave a comment on the website, where you can find all the resource links, show notes for each episode. And if you enjoy this episode, please leave a review on your favourite podcast platform, iTunes, Stitcher, whatever it is, and help The Cynical Developer to reach more developers around the globe.